So I wish I had better news, but I don't. This morning, 800,000 federal employees are seeing only zeros on their paychecks as the president is closer to declaring a national emergency to get funding for his border wall as the shutdown enters day 21, now tying it with the longest shutdown ever. Joining me now is freshman Democratic Congresswoman Katie Hill of California. Interesting note here, Congresswoman, you're the daughter of a Republican police officer who switched parties just to vote for you. So if your dad can do it, maybe you guys can agree on something. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Poppy.
Look, you used the words yesterday with my friend Ali Velshi on another network, political terrorism. Those are strong words to use, but clearly you meant it. But let me ask you about your party's role in this, right? I mean, you came to Washington to change things. You have been a big supporter of Nancy Pelosi, but this week when the White House, the Vice President Mike Pence, our reporting is, came to the table and said to Pelosi, where will you give on this? Here's our compromise. Where will you give? She offered nothing. Are you at all concerned that the Democrats are digging in too much?
No, I think the difference is that we're saying we will come to the table and negotiate, but we cannot use the paychecks of 800,000 federal workers, many of whom are law enforcement professionals, all of whom are working middle-class people who have families to feed and bills to pay. That's not our negotiating chip, and that's not an option. So we're saying open the government, and we'll come to the table. We have lots of things we want. We want border security. We want immigration reform. Plenty of things to negotiate on, but it's not here.
I know that, but how can the White House, Republicans, believe you 1,000% that you're going to give any money on the wall when the president, when it's been Nancy Pelosi herself said, no, $0 for the wall. So the way they see it is, if you reopen, right, how do we know you're going to give us any of this? Do you think Democrats should give any money to the wall?
Look, I think that there is a lot of talk about physical barriers of some kind. Even President Trump isn't calling it a wall anymore. So it's really so silly that we're even continuing to have this conversation about a wall. It's not going to end up being a wall. It's literally physically impossible. There are so many things that we can do in terms of technology, in terms of where we should be investing our money well on border security. It's a high priority for my district. Like you said, I come from a Republican family, a law enforcement family. We understand the need for border security. 95% of the drugs coming into our country come through legal ports of entry. So we need to be addressing that.
Yes. So, and look, in your district, you have a lot of federal workers. A third of the federal workers in this country are veterans. That's a passion point for you, I know. You held a town hall with all of them, and they're seeing zero in their paycheck this morning. Call it steel slats then, if you will, okay, in areas where there aren't natural barriers. Call it what you want.
Right.
Will you, as a Democrat, vote for any funding for that?
I think that I am definitely someone who will vote for a comprehensive border security package that includes immigration reform.
But is that some? But Congresswoman, I just want a really straight answer here. Will you vote for any money for a steel barrier?
I mean, I will definitely, I don't know if it's steel. I will vote for some money for physical barriers. It's not going to be, it's not going to be across the entire 2,000-mile stretch, and it's certainly not going to be a concrete wall, but it will be part of a package. I can almost, bet on it.
Well, that's all right. Well, that's more than a lot in leadership are willing to do right now. What about your paycheck? So far, 71 members of Congress have agreed to forego their paychecks while federal workers aren't getting paid, but the majority of members of Congress are taking home those paychecks. Are you?
We don't get paid as freshmen until February 1st. So so as far as I'm concerned, we better get this thing fixed by February 1st.
And if it goes past that, will you forgo your paycheck?
I mean, I'm going to have to figure it out. I'm somebody who hasn't taken a paycheck in 18 months either since campaigning. And I'm currently in the situation that many others are. So really, I'm here fighting for the people to make sure that we all get paid. So I'm hoping I don't have to make that decision.
Yeah, you get it. You need this paycheck is what you're saying, like these federal workers do. Finally, on impeachment of the president, any potential impeachment, you have said impeachment is the wrong conversation to be having right now. As you know, your fellow freshman Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib of Michigan made a lot of waves when she used an expletive to explain how she feels Democrats should go after the president on impeachment. You've said playing nice isn't really in my vocabulary, but I'm wondering if you're in her camp. Do you agree with her when she says this? Listen.
He has to understand that the culture and this kind of dissent that he has from me is something that is felt across this country. I am not the only one that is this angry and this upset.
You with her on that?
I agree that she's not the only one that's this angry and this upset. I mean, he has really hurt so many people. So I understand the sentiment. I think that the way that we approach it is through allowing the investigation to play out. I think that the focus needs to be on how we're going to get him out in 2 years. If there is something that we can use legitimately to get the nation on board, if we're trying to impeach him right now without the Republican support, it's going to go nowhere, and I think it can be really damaging for us. So that's why I say it's the wrong conversation. But I think we really have to focus on how are we going to make sure that we elect a new president in 2 years and that we elect a Senate that is truly supporting the American people.
Congresswoman Katie Hill, good luck. A busy
Thank
few
you.
weeks, an important first few weeks on the job. We appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you so much.